Hey everyone, me Kevin here with your July 16th stimulus check and stimulus package update. And now there is a new way to determine if you potentially have COVID up to a week before you would otherwise know when you get tested. Stat News reported that COVID-19 patients were 27 times more likely than people who tested negative for the virus to have lost their sense of smell up to a week before actually getting diagnosed with COVID. So if you want early answers as to whether or not you have COVID, all you have to do is walk into Congress, and if you don't smell anything, you probably have COVID, because otherwise you'd smell a load of bull. The Labor Department just reported 1.3 million new jobless claims as part of our country starts the de-opening process, basically the closing back down. Just for relativity, 1.3 million people filing for unemployment is like 3 Miamis going to file for unemployment in 1 week. And 1.3 million is about twice as many jobless claims in just 7 days as the Great Recession's worst week, where we had around 665,000 filing for unemployment. In the meantime, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is expected to unveil his next stimulus proposal on Monday or Tuesday. There is growing concern that Mitch plans to hardline negotiations and basically just stall between July 20th all the way up to August 7th to force Democrats into submission as they run the clock out, which Nancy Pelosi has already called this bluff, suggesting that, well, Mitch, we'll just cancel recess. Well, for right now, at least, we know that Republicans are looking for liability protections. They're looking for maybe $200 to $300 per week in unemployment pay above the normal unemployment, and likely a $1,200 stimulus check, though we're not sure if that's going to get ratcheted down to a lower income or not. There have been a lot of rumors about maybe ratcheting it down, but that might be too complicated. So for right now, all we know is they're considering another stimulus check of some sort. They're also looking at funding for schooling and possible credits and tax benefits like a payroll tax cut or a travel credit, which really does seem a little odd during a pandemic. Both, by the way, Democrats and Republicans are suggesting tax cuts for the rich and wealthy. Democrats included in their HEROES Act lifting the limits on SALT tax deductions, which helps people with higher incomes or people who own a bunch of real estate in high property tax states. And Republicans, at the same time, have suggested a capital gains holiday, which in stocks might lead to some short-term buying and selling volatility as people trade positions to take advantage of some of this free tax money. But the bigger issue might actually be real estate, where inventory might flood the market. And after all, real estate moves slowly, so a lot of people rushing to sell would not be very good for the real estate pricing in terms of the market. However, interest rates are now below an average of 3% for a 30-year fixed rate loan, which is also pretty crazy. So who knows, maybe for those of you in the real estate investing course, you might be able to pick up some really sweet deals coming up soon. We'll see a lot more of those wedge deals if they do one of those capital gains holidays. Now, as has been a theme, the rich get richer. And to add insult to this, well, according to the Wall Street Journal, Airbnb is now asking prior guests to send their landlords kindness cards, which the New York Post sees as sparking outrage. And it's not surprising because when you think about the messaging, it seems a little tone deaf. People in a pandemic should send potentially wealthy landlords who run Airbnbs, since most of them own their own properties. Some don't, but most of them do. The messaging just doesn't seem right. Let's help bail out the landlords who could get mortgage forbearance, whereas most people, especially tenants, are getting screwed during this pandemic. This messaging from Airbnb is almost as weird as the latest Golden Corral TV commercials promoting their all-you-can-eat buffet in the midst of a pandemic. Yes, let's have 8-year-olds snot bomb the utensils at the breakfast bar so that grandma can get her biscuit, gravy, and COVID. Anyway, this is starting to sound just as tone deaf as a new program announced by our government. It's called, quote, literally, quote, find something new, which basically signals to you that you should just forget your old job and forget your old skills and, you know what, just start over. That's not what we want to hear in the midst of a pandemic. Now, I'll give it to them. The website does seem somewhat useful and functional, but I can't help but wonder, why would somebody put something together with this kind of title in the middle of the pandemic, signaling, hey, lost your job? Don't worry. Forget all the experience you've learned and gained over the last 20 years or 10 years working, whatever. Forget all that. Start over. That's fine when you're in your 20s, but it's a little harder when you're 30, 40, or 50 and have kids. Anyway, the next coronavirus release package will likely be influenced by the latest resurgence of COVID-19 cases, because surely, since Congress decided to wait and see should go both ways. Things get better, maybe they do less. Things get worse, maybe they should do more. The Wall Street Journal suggested the best type of stimulus would actually be something that's a little bit more on autopilot, so we don't get stuck in this logjam of a stinky Congress anymore. Some sort of autopilot stimulus that would scale with unemployment or GDP. There are many ideas for this. For example, if unemployment is high and GDP is low, maybe we get recurring stimulus checks until we cross a certain threshold or that number goes down. So far, the only person to suggest such a thing has, with real leadership power, has been Democrat Chuck Schumer. And he's suggested such a plan for the unemployment pay, where unemployment might be extended at $600, but as unemployment falls, that $600 boost gets reduced in $100 increments until we reach about 5 to 6% unemployment. Now, I know that cases are up because, well, in part, testing is up, right? But it's not only a testing increase issue that we're seeing here. Positivity rates are up substantially. As a country, we're trying to get positivity rates below 10%. And that means that 1 out of every 10 people has tested positive for COVID. And that's sort of the goal, is trying to get that number under 1 in 10, so that less positivity happens. We could still test more, but we want positivity to go down. And I think we want mental positivity to go up because there's enough negativity, but I think y'all know what I mean. As of July 1st, we've been at 22% positive. That means out of every 100 people, 22 test positive. And in Miami-Dade, what's now seen as the Wuhan of the United States, is testing positive at a rate of 30.5%. That means 2 to 3 out of every 10 people are positive when they go to a testing station. This spike in positivity rates is helping lead to the decision to de-open parts of Texas and California and Florida. California and Florida, by the way, are leading 1/3 of the spike in cases. And the only thing that California and Florida, I think, have in common are the fact that I lived in them for about half my life. This, by the way, is causing the stock market major chest pain, which is good for 2 reasons. One, it means you're more likely to, well, be induced to get that life insurance in the link down below in as little as 5 minutes, and you're more likely to want 2 free stocks with Webull when you deposit just $100. But let's be real here. The real benefit of a declining stock market is, and has to do with, Donald Trump. The stock market is extremely important to him. The stock market is Trump's barometer for success, and many of us are and have been kind of confused. Like, why is the stock market doing so well, but the economy is doing so poorly? Well, the more COVID intensifies, the more the stock market, in my opinion, is likely to turn red. That is, people are more likely to take their money out of the stock market, and we'll see that sort of ocean of the stock market slowly decline. The more the president sees this ocean of the stock market declining and the Dow going down and the S&P going down, the more, in my opinion, the president is likely to push for additional stimulus. See, the president really evaluates his performance using the stock market. He doesn't believe in the polls, especially after 538. You can't really blame the president for questioning the polls. And it's totally debatable how much his success actually relates to the stock market, but it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. If he believes that his success is correlated with the stock market, then the best thing for more stimulus happening is the stock market going down, because it's going to make Donald Trump feel like he's not doing as good of a job, and it's going to, in my opinion, make him more likely to push for more stimulus. The reverse is also true. When the stock market was soaring, all we heard from Republicans was, hey, you know what? Things are good. We're in a V. Everything's fine. The numbers are getting better. Maybe we don't even need another stimulus package. It's only been recently, as the stock market has been more volatile, we've seen a few more red days than usual, and cases are going up, that all of a sudden we're starting to hear more positive talk about the next rounds of stimulus. This is very important. The CARES Act and the Fed's money printing has done wonders for the stock market, which did make Donald Trump and Republicans feel victorious. But folks, that adrenaline shot has run its course. It's time for a new one. Speaking of course, I have courses in the links down below. There's also a coupon code that you can use. It's called Summer Fun. Anyway, keep an eye on stocks. The more red they are, the more likely we are to see a larger stimulus package. In other news, Walmart is now requiring masks along with Target, who just announced minutes ago that they will also require masks starting on August 1st. So stay tuned for more viral videos from Karens via TikTok. To continue the insanity of 2020, a state-backed group of Russian hackers is apparently trying to steal our COVID-19 research. The menacing group is called Cozy Bear. And rumor has it, the hackers got in, but couldn't find any research. We're just as clueless as they are. This comes a day after Elon Musk and others on Twitter fell victim to a Bitcoin hacking scheme. In the meantime, White House trade advisor Peter Navarro ripped apart Dr. Fauci in an opinion piece yesterday. This opinion piece was in the USA Today and apparently wasn't approved by the White House, but I have a feeling things are going to get a bit awkward when Peter Navarro runs into Dr. Fauci at the White House again. In fact, I have the piece right here. See, here is the USA Today, and it's just this small little segment here, but in this small little segment, Peter Navarro was able to say things like, Dr. Fauci has good bedside manner with the public, but he has been wrong about everything I have interacted with him on. And he ended off by saying, so when you ask me whether I listen to Dr. Fauci's advice, my only answer is only with skepticism and caution. Whew, scathing. At the same time, Facebook is considering banning political ads, say people, quote, familiar with the company's thinking. You know, that kind of sounds like Congress. It's like they literally sit down in a meeting and say, all right, let's discuss the banning of political ads, just like Congress goes in and goes, hey, let's discuss recurring stimulus checks. And then they kind of just look at each other and pause, break out in laughter a bit, and then some dude comes out and goes, yeah, we talked about it. There you go. That's the news for the day. It's starting to feel like news in this country is just like the answer we got when we asked our parents, Mom, Dad, where do babies come from? It's a bunch of feel-good crap, but it ain't reality. But hey, at least the market is red today, and that makes me slightly happier because I believe that a lagging stock market will not only create buying opportunities for us to actually buy stocks, but it will also convince Republicans that no, all is not back to normal. The economy still needs help. And as usual, this is not me taking sides, I'm trying my best to report what's actually happening. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Please consider subscribing, and folks, we will see you in the next episode.